Hey everybody, this is Professor Lilly, and I want to talk to you about week 2 in travel reporting. And the purpose of this assignment is it kind of acknowledges in a way that we're teaching travel reporting a little bit different than the past. The first few years, it was all about giving students who were traveling abroad and taking courses at abroad schools a chance to write about their experiences and learn about traditional travel writing as a journalist who travels and writes about their experience so that people can read about it and learn about those destinations. Um, but recognizing that in the last couple of years, we've opened it up to students on campus. And indeed, that's the case here where most of you are either at campus or at home. Um, so this kind of gives an opportunity to recognize that we're not necessarily just doing travel writing, but also kind of more of what we call lifestyle writing and or reporting. And we're also doing blogging. So we're able to, through this assignment, to kind of say, well, what is blogging when someone says blogging, and what is lifestyle writing, what's travel writing, so that when you are writing on your particular travel blog, you can kind of critically think about, well, what am I doing when I'm doing this, and what kind of forms of writing can I emulate when I actually write about the things that I'm doing this semester for the main assignment, which is to write at least 15 articles for your blog this semester. So this is a group assignment, so that's one of the reasons why last week you had the Flipgrid opportunity to meet each other, and also through this through the wiki you can find out each other's email addresses. So the first week, or rather the first thing you need to do, is to start to coordinate, and that's one reason why I am sending this out on Sunday, so that you have a little bit more time, because this is the whole activity for the whole week. So right now I'm recording this, it's Sunday, and the assignment is due submitted next Sunday. So you have a whole week, so you have plenty of time to coordinate and to pull all the aspects of this presentation together, put it into one cohesive whole, and to submit it. So let's get started with these with the parameters here. So your group, I'm calling it a presentation, but you can turn it in in a traditional presentation format. So a PowerPoint, a PPT, or a Prezi. That's a kind of an online version of a PPT, or a shared Google Slides presentation. Now, if you're going to do a PPT or shared Google Slides, I appreciate it if you have at least some of the slides have a voice annotation. So if you do that in PowerPoint, then when you save it as a video, and you upload it to YouTube, and you would give me that URL. Same with the Prezi, you can easily do voice annotation, and Prezi comes with a URL. And or you could do a traditional PowerPoint kind of research essay. And so the reason why voice annotation for these two is because the PowerPoint research essay style, like a group research essay, or would have a lot more writing than you would necessarily want in a PowerPoint presentation, which focuses on having bullet points and facts, and then your voiceover would kind of add additional details to that. So any of these are possibilities in terms of how to turn this in, what the original format is going to be. And like I said, you need to turn it in by next Sunday, and you turn it in right here. So if it's a like a document, like a PDF, you throw it in here, or if it's a link to a Prezi or a YouTube video, then create a Word document and put it in here. In the Word document, say everyone's name and what the topic is, and then just give me the link so that I can look at it in terms of grading. So again, due a week from now, next Sunday. And so to start with, in terms of, I'll give you some guidelines here. And the last few are specific things that actually need to be in the presentation. And then the first through two or a few are just in terms of how to get going with it. So the first thing I want you to do is to choose a group leader. And the group leader has two roles. First, to kind of get the group organized And the group leader doesn't have to make the decision by her or him or themselves to in terms of what format you're going to use, but you need to start that discussion, and maybe with a couple people decide, okay, we're going to focus on using Google tools like Google Meets to have a kind of video conference, and use Google Slides, or however that you want to coordinate. The group leader kind of is the leader in terms of making that decision. And then finally, by Wednesday night, I want the group leader to email me, and just, it doesn't have to be a super long email, but say, here's what we did on Tuesday. We had a Google Meet, and most of the members were able to attend, and we divvied up the work, and assigned certain topics to each person. And here's the presentation format that we are planning to use. So I just want a progress email basically from the group leader. And by that point, by Wednesday night, you do need to have met in some way. So, this does not have to be a live meeting. It could be meeting through email. And then one option that I gave you is right here is a group discussion forum. And I just created this so that each group, if they want to, can create a discussion topic and just to talk. So the leader could start a topic, and then others could reply. So I could say, start a topic and say, this is the group green coordination for figuring out our presentation, and then people can reply to that. So this is just one vehicle for everyone, and I recommend you use it, but this will not affect your grade. If you don't use it and you find some other way to coordinate, that's fine. This is just an option because it's easy to use. So that's one way to coordinate. And after that, okay, what does it need to include? Obviously, you need to have links to all the sources of information. And I don't have, let's see, do I not have this in there? So I'm going to ask that each presentation have at least 10 cited sources of information. And so that, and granted, all the things I'm asking you for, that should be pretty easy, and they can all be online. So in terms of like what's a blog and what's travel writing, and in your writing you can just highlight a word or two or phrase, and then have a link to that URL there. So that's how you don't necessarily have to have a traditional works cited at the end, as long as you just have citations with links in the text. And I'll add that in here to make sure that you know that you need to have at least 10 sources of information that are linked to or cited in some way. And then I would definitely encourage you to have plenty of embedded photos, infographics. You could have even embedded videos or link to videos to give more context for your answers. Okay, so these, and in terms of coordinating, what I would recommend is for these 4 through 7, you divvy up the research and writing. And then so maybe you have 1 or 2 people who are responsible for actually putting the PowerPoint or whatever presentation, the PPT, the essay together. And then the rest of everyone is kind of researchers and writers. And so maybe one person is responsible for researching what is travel writing and writing up 2 paragraphs with the links to citations in it, and then handing it off to whoever is responsible for putting together the presentation or the essay. So that's probably the best way to divvy it up, is at the beginning of the first couple days you decide who's going to do what. Okay, so in terms of what do you need to include? Okay, and so that's basically, like I said, 4 through 7. A couple paragraphs on the history of blogging, and what's the relationship between blogging and journalism. What is feature writing? So lifestyle writing is a kind of subgenre of feature writing. In feature writing, if you've taken the intro to journalism class or the news writing and reporting class, you'll learn that the difference between feature writing and traditional news article writing is news article writing, you're writing about that specific event or the specific news, and you start with what's the most important aspects about the news. Whereas typically feature writing, you're really telling more of a story. It's a factual story, but you might use different techniques to kind of get across whatever the narrative is, or the most important aspect. And lifestyle reporting is more like just, it's also sometimes called city life reporting, where you're writing about restaurants or trails or museums, different things that people might be able to do in your area of coverage. And that's what lifestyle reporting, in simple terms is. But I want you to research it and find out a little bit more specifics about it. And you'll see for each one of these, I say how much I'm looking for. So this one, several paragraphs, means it could be 2 or 3 paragraphs. And then finally at the end, just what are some examples of tips for good travel writing as well. At the very end, I want you to say what one travel writing or lifestyle column. So this could be like a newspaper column in your area. You can look and see what kind of lifestyle, like restaurant reviews or kind of city life type columns, or a specific blog that you found that you're interested in, that you're going to read this semester, and just say that. So you could say, Sarah chose this particular lifestyle column from her regional newspaper, and John chose this. So just like it could just even be bullet points of saying what each person chose that they're going to read throughout the semester, to give them a sense of what good writing in that particular area is. And that's it. So, this is not, if one person had to do all of this, it would be kind of a lot to do it in 1 week, which is one reason why you're doing it in a group, but also you're doing it in a group to kind of discuss it and learn from each other when researching this particular topic. And that's about it. And like I said, make sure you drop it in here by next Saturday. Next Sunday, so you have 1 whole week. And the group leader, if they have any particular questions, can email me anytime, but they have to email me by Wednesday night, just to give me the progress on your group. One thing, with groups, sometimes it stresses people out, and sometimes people feel like they do most of the work, or other people aren't doing any work. If someone absolutely is not participating, then just send me an email and let me know. Or if for some reason you absolutely cannot participate in working with another group, then a group working with a group of people, and absolutely have to do it on your own, let me know, and I will consider that. I'd rather you do it in a group, because that's part of the learning process. But don't let the whole group work thing stress you out. Part of the reason why we do this is because in reality, the vast majority of you, when you get into the workplace, will be doing group work together. Doesn't necessarily mean that every minute, every day you're working, so if you're doing this part, what is travel writing in 1 to 2 paragraphs, you're doing that on your own, right? But usually there's some kind of collaboration in terms of coming together and putting a project together at the very end. So it's just a reality of work today, and also reality of doing work today is doing it, virtually, as you all are doing this whole class right now. So get into it in the next couple days, get organized. If the group leader has any questions, email me, and if not, just give me the progress report by Wednesday night. So good luck. Have fun with this assignment, get into the nitty-gritty, and the more you kind of understand about this type of writing, I think the better prepared you will be when you actually start doing it in a couple weeks.